So we're down to just 30 days. 29, maybe, depending on when I get this video uploaded. I'm trying to get it to you guys as quickly as possible, but time is running out. Worldwide supply chain problems are already causing problems for U.S. economy, and now we are down to just as little as, we'll call it 30 days before it hits the fan. I mean, seriously hits the fan. We are closer than ever. Buffer 60 days if we're lucky. But make no doubt about it, now is the time to prepare. Union railroad workers are preparing to go on strike. This vital transportation method for many of our goods, such as food, water, gas, diesel, cars, and trucks, will be coming to a screeching halt soon if resolutions aren't met. The new Tesla you have on order, the new Porsche Macan, or the new Ford F-150 Lightning that you have ordered and possibly paid far too much for over MSRP, as our economy is tanking right in front of our eyes, it'll be stranded on these rail cars, which is pretty much how most automobiles get transported before you see them on the car hauler tractor trailers. Now, nearly a third of all U.S. freight is dependent upon railroad trains and railway car transport. And Biden said unsettled disputes substantially threaten to interrupt interstate commerce to a degree that would deprive a section of the country of essential transportation services. The unions and their membership are angry, or at least the members of the union are angry, and for good reason. Now, pay attention because this is where it gets really, really important. And this is why a strike threat and worker shortage fear is real and warranted. None of these false claims here. They haven't now, this is disturbing for me to share this information, but they haven't had a raise in 3 years. Prior to pandemic, not having a raise for 3 years would just kind of suck. But during and post pandemic, a raise, not having a raise for 3 years, that's like not having a raise for 10 years. Oh man, God, dog. Even as several railroads, including, this is the worst part. This is the worst part. Even as several railroads, including Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern, and Berkshire Hathaway's Burlington Northern Santa Fe, have reported record earnings. Please pay attention. Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern, Berkshire Hathaway's Burlington Northern Santa Fe are reporting record earnings, while the employees that make this possible for these companies have not received a raise in 3 years. Not for lack of trying either. We're going to get to that. Now, this is unacceptable, and it is a gross display of corporate greed at its best. I don't know any other way to describe it to you. And if you happen to work for these railroads, these companies, or know anyone who does, please comment below. We need intel from boots on the ground, please, as what happens next will affect us all. Now, these business strategies of keeping the poor poor and begging to keep their job, plus the Fed shutting off the money printer and Jerome Powell jacking up interest rates after another blow to inflation from the most recent CPI report, is what will bring this country to its knees. We've been talking about this. Watch my last videos, previous uploads. This has been coming. We've been preparing for this. We have seen the signals and the key indicators. Time is approaching. And the people who are going to feel the most pain are the hardworking middle class who won't even be able to afford the food they work to transport day after day with little to no break. Their typical 3% annual increase in previous contracts are just laughable at best, especially with inflation rates of more than 10% reported. And we all know the real inflation numbers are much higher than that. On top of low wages, unions argue that understaffing is creating intolerable working conditions. Understaffing, record profits. Are y'all catching, what's going on here? Do you see the writing on the wall? These businesses are strangling our economy, forcing record profits and inflation in the process and hurting the middle class workers who make this possible, only for a catastrophic ending for which they will sit happily and count their chips, so to speak, while everyone else suffers and starves, thrown out on the streets, evicted, foreclosed on, vehicles repossessed, bank accounts falling to zero, balances at zero, savings wiped out, pensions wiped out, investment portfolios wiped out. The 1% are sticking it to the 99%, and they don't even care. President Joe Biden took action to prevent 115,000 U.S. railroad workers from going on strike as planned early as Monday morning. Now, we should not see a strike. However, Monday, time will tell. We'll have to see how this plays out. We're going to keep an eye on this. Action by Biden could be only a short-term solution, and the clock is ticking. And this is where I was saying we may have 60 days at best. A planned work stoppage is just 60 days away, and it is very possible. That planned work stoppage would essentially be similar to a strike, and everything that we rely on would cease to be transported through railroad and rail car transportation. And then we see the backup. We see the backup at the ports and the backups in manufacturing and shipping. That, if we see the stoppage and we have to shut this thing down, like I said in my last video, it doesn't take long to cause the problem, cause and effect. It doesn't take long to cause it, but the effects last for much longer than the cause. So if we see a stoppage, that can happen overnight. Union workers, railroad union workers could cease to work, putting it in, just stopping transportation altogether, just with a snap of a finger. The ripple effect of that would be devastating and long term. Even if they decided to come back to work in a day or two or a week or a month, we would feel the pain like you have not felt so far. And it has been over 3 years of them negotiating with no solutions. Record profits, understaffed, intolerable conditions. 3 years of negotiations with no solutions. I hope you guys are paying attention. Reports state many employees are required to be on the job or on call to report to work on short notice 7 days a week due to inadequate staffing levels. Are you telling me that they can't find people to take these jobs? We were walking along the Fisherman's Wharf, I believe, in San Francisco, and there's a sign in the window for In-N-Out Burger starting at $23 an hour. I can only imagine what these railroads from Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern and Berkshire Hathaway are paying these union workers. You telling me you can't find people who want to work while you're raking in record profits? Now, the Presidential Emergency Board that Biden named has 30 days to try to find a solution satisfactory to both sides. Just 30 days. As of the time of this recording, which was Friday, July 15th. So, it looks like we are on track for recent trends of supply chain woes and U.S. labor unrest to collide in the coming months. This collision is going to be catastrophic to many, especially those who are already struggling to get by as it is, who are not prepared, who have not prepped, who do not have their stockpiles, who do not have their affairs in order. It is going to hurt. And U.S. consumers are going to pay the price in not getting the goods they want and need, and or paying significantly more for whatever products are available. Please pay attention. This is most important and most critical. It's not just unions that are fed up with the railroad mismanagement, poor management. Shippers who depend on railroads to move their goods, including many of the nation's largest companies, are on record complaining about the quality of railroad service in testimony and filings to the Surface Transportation Board, on one of the federal agencies that oversees railroads. Now, several companies, including food processing giant Archer Daniels Midland. I'm gonna repeat this so you guys. I want you guys to pay attention to this. Several companies, including food processing giant Archer Daniels Midland, complain about, and I quote, inadequate service now being provided by the railroads with the current staffing levels. The same railroads who are recording record profits and are inadequately staffed. If you aren't prepared now, then it is of utmost importance that you get prepared ASAP. The U.S. economy is on a crash course for a dead stop of nearly 30% of essential goods if the railroad union strike happens. What foods and other products that will be left on the shelves will become almost priceless, and I expect to see stores raising prices as demand increases and supply is stuck stranded on a rail car or some train track somewhere. This is literally a train wreck waiting to happen, and we can't look away. I hope both sides can reach a reasonable negotiation before this really gets out of hand, but put it lightly, shit is literally hitting the fan, y'all. Prepare now. Savings accounts will be wiped out. Stockpiles of cash from stimulus checks will be depleted. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Americans are flush with cash and don't want to work. Well, if that is actually true, which I seriously doubt, we are about to see a lot of unprepared folks get a shocking wake-up call.